Last week, for our challenge, we talked about the different types of carbohydrates. We explained that refined carbohydrates and complex starchy carbohydrates digest relatively faster than complex fibrous carbohydrates. We discussed how the glycemic index of each different type of carbohydrate affects how fast they can release glucose into the blood and how that impacts insulin production and your weight. This week, we're discussing carbohydrate timing for weight loss. Food timing is essentially the planning and scheduling of macronutrient intake throughout the day to support weight loss or fat loss. Your macronutrients are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. Those of us who use this strategy plan exactly when they eat their carbohydrates, their proteins, and their fats throughout the day to take advantage of the nutritional benefits that each group of macronutrients has to offer. Food timing strategy is based on how your body handles different types of food groups at different times of the day. One of the most important nutrient timing principles is that it's best to eat most of your carbohydrate intake early during the day or after exercise, because the wrong foods at the wrong time of the day sabotages your effort in the gym. The right food at the right time, however, enhances your hard work at the gym. If you use this strategy to properly plan your macronutrient intake throughout the day, you can upregulate your metabolism, you can shift your hormonal profile, and you can even alter your body composition. So let's understand a little bit how it all works. This week, we're talking exclusively about carbohydrate timing for weight loss. The first step is digestion. When you eat something, your body takes the carbohydrates from the food and breaks them down into glucose through digestion. Carbohydrate digestion starts in the mouth, but the bulk of it gets digested in the small intestines. The second step is absorption. Glucose is mostly absorbed from the small intestine after digestion and is transported into the bloodstream. This causes your blood glucose level to increase after your meal. In response to this increase of your glucose level, the pancreas produces insulin. Now, it is really important that we first understand how insulin works in the body. Metabolism is very complex. So for the purpose of this lesson, we'll focus only on what we need to know. The most important role of insulin in the body is that it allows the cell of the body to use glucose as energy. Think of insulin as a key that binds to receptors on the cell's surface to open a door that allows glucose to enter the cell, GLUT4 in this case. In the cell on the left side, the release of insulin by pancreas activates the translocation of the GLUT4 transporter to the cell membrane, which in turn creates an opening that allows glucose to enter the cell, as you can see in the cell on the right side. Once glucose enters the cell through the open GLUT4 transporters, glucose has three pathways. The cells can either use glucose for energy production, storage as glycogen in the liver and muscles, or storage as fats in adipose tissues or fat cells. If the cells have an immediate energy need, the glucose that enters the cell is transformed into energy. If the cells already have enough energy, insulin facilitates the storage of glucose as glycogen in the liver and muscles. But these glycogen stores are limited, and when the liver and muscles are already saturated with glycogen, the body converts the still excess glucose into fats to be stored in adipose tissues or fat cells. These stores can then be used at a later date when energy demand is higher, for example, when you go on a run the next day. However, if you have a lifestyle where you continue eating high carbohydrate meals throughout the day regularly, your body will most likely have an excess of glucose consistently and contribute to fat storage and thus leading to weight gain over a period of time. If your lifestyle involves little to no physical activity, the daily energy demand stays relatively low. And coupled with excess carbohydrates, your body never really gets a chance to use those fat reserves. Every time you eat a carbohydrate-rich meal, you elevate your insulin level in your blood for about 3 to 4 hours. If you eat a carbohydrate-rich meal every 2 to 3 hours, you force your body to continually stay in a fat-storing environment pretty much throughout the day, especially if you have a sedentary lifestyle. So what I'm saying is, if you're eating every 2 to 3 hours, your insulin level stays elevated for 3 to 4 hours, which means that your body is going to end up stuck in a perpetual fat storing environment. Because it is impossible to burn fat if your insulin levels stay elevated. The solution to this is simply to know when to avoid eating a high carbohydrate meal. What this will do is allow insulin to come down to normal in between the meals. And now, throughout the day, you're maintaining a stable insulin level. This will give your body the opportunity to access stored fats and use it as fuel. Using this simple method, you will be able to increase your fat burn, improve your body composition, and finally lose the weight. You don't need a crazy diet. You don't need a low-carb diet. You don't need to starve yourself. You don't need to stress about your food. You just need to 1. Know the different types of carbs, 2. Know which ones are good or bad for you, and 3. Know when to eat which types of carbs. If you're able to follow these steps, you'll lose the weight and keep it off forever. Your challenge this week is to level 1, eat most of your carbs early during daytime or within 3 hours of your workouts. Level 2, avoid refined and starchy carbs at night. Only consume complex fibrous carbs for dinners. Please review last week's video if you need a refresher on these 3 classifications of carbohydrates. Level 3, avoid refined and starchy carbs throughout the day every day. Only consume complex fibrous carbs. For example, replace mashed potatoes with mashed cauliflower. Just give it a try. They are more delicious than you think. This is all for today, guys. As usual, please feel free to ask your questions on our Facebook accountability group. We're happy to help. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.